kind of the sound it makes, though, isn't it, for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't get much louder than that. It's a little wispy.
Not a lot of resistance.
You know? You would know, my friend.
You know what they say. Never mind. I'm not going to say.
I'd like to know what they say.
Nope.
I would love to know.
Yeah. I just put on my filter. We're good.
Well, take it off next time, buddy.
Well.
How are you?
I'm good, man.
Good.
Cold, though. Cold is, what?
We got a nice little cold snap up here.
Freaking Canada threw their damn air down here.
They literally diarrheaed on us.
They totally did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be gone in a couple days, and it's going to be back to our normal.
You talking about Canada?
Maybe.
They're already gone.
Those poor people. There's some good folks up there, but man,
they are getting fisted in the buttocks by their own government.
They sure are.
We're not going to talk about that.
No, we're not. But geez,
that's
holy
not this
cow!
podcast.
Right.
We got some newsworthy stuff going on.
All right.
We're going to talk a little bit of jiu-jitsu, some topical stuff, but then we're going to get into some kind of health, wellness in relation to jiu-jitsu. And then we got an interesting question that came in.
Okay.
That's about a very common, I guess, injury.
Yeah.
That you don't even know the question or anything. So we're going to go into that cold and see what you think about it.
Cool.
And then same with the question you have. I don't know. Almost died.
Random.
Yeah, gun just fell.
Question I have.
I don't know anything about it, so we'll go from there too. The topic you have.
Oh, the topic. Yeah. Okay.
So, but big news in jiu-jitsu is February 9th, they finalized the card for who's number one, which this one's got some big old names on it. You haven't heard or anything?
I haven't even, it hadn't crossed my radar yet.
Good. So we're going to throw these at you nice and cold.
Okay.
Even though you're not the most opinionated guy, we want to see you talk a little bit of shit.
We've talked about this before.
I know you don't do it.
No, you've seen me get spicy sometimes when I get pissed about something.
Not with pro grapplers.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, unless they're a complete, anyway, go ahead. Let me see. Maybe you can
One of these guys
response.
talked crap about Carrie.
Well, then we're on.
His name's Nicky Rodriguez.
Whatever.
Actually, okay. So headlining the card is Nicky Rod against Victor Hugo.
Ooh.
That's a spicy one.
I like that one.
I love it. I'm happy they actually made this because I think those are the only two guys that have really given Gordon like a good run. You put Kine and Duarte in there. We haven't seen that match really, but I think between those four guys, Kynan, Victor, and Nicky, obviously Marigali's in there, but he's not going to go against Gordon yet. I think this is awesome.
Yeah, that's a great matchup, man. I like that.
How do you think this goes?
That's interesting. So, I kind of know what Nicky Rod likes to do.
It'll probably be 15 minutes. I
was going to say,
it's not going to be a crazy 40 minutes or anything like that.
But same rule set, basically.
Same who's number one rule set.
Okay.
So they will have a decision at the end. It's not just like sub only, right?
Sure.
They'll have every 5 minutes.
Well, they'll say who they think is red or blue. Yeah. Which I like. So we know recent matches. We know Nicky Rod likes to get into his body lock passing. What's interesting though, Victor Hugo is no slouch with leg locks, man.
Right.
And which is interesting because out of more, when you think about the kind of the Danaher B team lineage, they have a lot of leg locks, foot locks. They're known for it,
especially the twisting style.
Yes,
twisting style leg locks.
But also Victor moves also very well. I mean, as far as a heavyweight like that. I mean, so that's gonna be interesting.
Potentially the best guard in
I think
heavyweight division.
Yeah, I think so.
It's definitely up there.
Yeah.
And
so
the interesting thing is, he is good at leg locks, specifically knee bars.
Yep.
I think that'll be very interesting for someone that puts himself in body lock or puts himself in butterflies, as in Nicky Rod,
to get his body lock. Yeah.
Yes. And Victor's legs are like 17 feet long.
They are.
That's going to be interesting.
It's going to be very cool. That's a great matchup.
Yeah.
I like that.
Who do you think takes that? Just off the top of your head, knee-jerk reaction.
I still think Nicky Rod does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that rule set is hard to beat. Nicky
It
Rod.
is. I really do.
He's not going to get tired.
No.
I think it'll be difficult. I mean, at the same time.
But I wouldn't, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't be sad if Victor Hugo
I
won.
think I'm pulling for Victor.
I am too, but I'm just, you asked me who I think is
yeah.
going to. Yeah.
I think I'm pulling for Victor on
Yep.
this. At this, I default, my knee jerk is Rodriguez.
Yeah.
But something about Victor, he's got that buchecha in him where he's down. We just saw him against Big Dan.
Yeah.
He was down. And he comes back with a sweep at the end and then finishes them with an Americana, if I remember right. He had the same thing. I don't remember if it was against Marigali or Felipe Andrew or something where he was down until the very, very end. It was in the gi. And he came back and won. Just a dog.
Yep.
Dog.
I love it.
So I think
Great matchup.
I don't think it's one of these things where it's Nicky Rod.
No, I
100%.
don't either. But if you had to, want me to say one or the other, who? Yeah.
I'm not going to put the gun to your head, but I'm willing to do it.
Yeah.
So
I see. You replaced it with a yellow one.
yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Then we have Mika Goval.
Oh man.
Oh, the truth.
And
Against Iwamoto, excuse me. Kenda Iwamoto. He's a B team guy. He's the Japanese dude. Here's a picture of him. I don't know if you recognize him.
yeah, I recognize him. I haven't seen a whole lot of him.
He made it to ADCC last year, and he drew JT Torres in the first round and gave JT a run for his money. Took JT down, went all the way into overtime. He gave him everything. Super tough, super good.
Dude, it's hard to go against Mika Galval.
I'm trying to talk up Kenda as much as I can because
but holy cow,
Mika could have my baby.
yeah.
I would have his baby. Is probably more so how it would go.
You're lucky he's now actually an adult, because otherwise it'd be really creepy. It's even more creepy.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah. I mean, he's 20 at least now. That was just
Yeah.
the comment was disturbing. Anyway,
It's weird that you know his age.
Well, I had to think about if we were looking about.
Intimately.
Who's the one talking about having babies?
You're stuttering right now.
Dude, I'm just embarrassed for you.
No,
I don't know
I'm
what to
here.
say.
Your wife.
What?
Talking about having other people's babies.
I'm just saying he could impregnate me.
Okay.
You're lactating right now.
Oh, that's not what I'm doing.
I think it's kind of straightforward. I mean,
Yeah,
Iwamoto is tough as nails.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be really entertaining.
yes.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely taken.
I just can't go against Mika on this one.
Yeah, I mean, who's someone you would favor over Mika right now? Gi or no gi?
Favor over or
Yeah.
I don't know.
That you would be like, I think they're gonna beat him.
I think one of the Ruotolos could catch him.
Sure. If it was,
Oh, didn't they in ADCC?
I'm sorry, right?
they have gone against each
Yeah.
other. Cade caught him in the
I was
finals.
going to say Cade did, right?
Yeah. So
So let's say it was Cade versus Mika. Would you pick Cade?
it's a toss-up, dude.
Carrie's saying yes.
Carrie, pick Cade. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that, but that's who comes to mind.
I would still pick Mika. And it's
I would
weird.
too.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just,
But I think it's because it's been a year, and so Mika's had time to work.
and that was like a flash sub, nothing. I'm not down
Wasn't
like-
that his first sub? On
sub
him?
loss.
Yeah.
I'm not saying and I'm not downplaying it, but it was like a flash, he just got caught slipping. Mm-hmm. What if it was him? So this is predicted at Worlds this year. This is a prediction that people are already making, and it's 8 months out or something. Is the middleweight division in the gi, will have Mika, Jansen Gomez, Ty Rotolo, and Tynan Dalpra.
Wow,
Those four will be in the Worlds this year.
that's freaking awesome.
Jansen Gomez beat Tynan in the finals last year.
That's awesome.
Ty is obviously Ty Rotolo. That's good. I mean,
Well, yeah. The thing is, you talk about catch someone slipping. Both Mika and the Ruotolos, that's their whole thing. They will jump on something in a
flash subs are their thing.
Absolutely. So
Yeah, it's going to be great.
that's awesome. That's still. I'm looking forward to that though. That's a good one.
I have a tattoo appointment next month to get Mika's name on my back. So.
Yeah, it's not weird. Your lower back, I'm sure.
Of course. Come on. Then we have Dante Leon
Yes.
against Diego Pato. Wowzers.
Pato.
First of all, I didn't even know they were the same. They could go in the same division.
I didn't either, but I'm going with Pato.
Yeah. I think Pato is significantly smaller because Pato typically does the 135 pound, I believe. And Leon typically is 170 pound or 55. Now, when he's at 55, he is saucy. Not saying he's sauced up on the Bomba,
I know what you're saying.
but he's yoked.
Yeah.
And I love that Pato doesn't care.
No.
Pato does open weight sometimes. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think this is awesome.
Yep.
This is going to be one of the funnest matches to
Was
watch.
Dante Leon, was he just at the AIGA?
He was.
He did
And
really well.
Murdered people in that.
Oh no, this is not saying that he
Yeah.
not taking anything away from him.
For sure.
I'm also throwing a bone to Nikita.
I was going to say.
Pato's
Yeah, I know.
assistant.
Yeah.
Pato hired Nikita as security
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, as we know.
That's not a very good hire.
No.
So
No, you might as well.
for a bunch of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, you could hire like the Pillsbury Doughboy
Yeah.
mixed with the Michelin Man and you get Nikita.
Well, but at least he's a citizen now.
That's
I mean,
true.
before he wasn't. So
That's
that
true.
was like an illegal hire anyway.
Yeah, I got to call our cop friends now instead of
Yeah.
ICE.
Yeah. It's just a little squirrely, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, you taking Pato?
Yep. Pato by some type of footlock.
Foot leg thing?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
top of the food chain when it comes to leg locks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tossed on this. I would love to hear what people think about this match.
Mm.
Like, is Dante going to be too big and strong?
I don't know.
I go
man.
back and forth.
Yeah.
I
I'll
just
pick Dante.
You got Dante.
Just based off of the AIGA.
Carrie's going Dante as well because of how good he did at Ayuga.
Yeah.
And he's like mean about it too. I don't know. Did you guys watch Ayuga?
I watched part of it.
Okay, like when he subbed, I forgot who, he walked over to the other all-star team that had Kennedy Maciel and stuff, and he just starts waving at him, and like there's a little pushing and shoving.
Well, he's just trying to play the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's a very macho guy, and I love it.
Yeah, he's playing the game.
I'm going to go... I can't pick.
Just, oh my God, you
Okay.
wuss.
Okay. Okay, all right.
Dude.
I'm going Pato.
Okay, thank God.
How dare you?
I'm going Pato. It feels...
Yeah.
I feel wrong already.
I was going to say... But you got to make a freaking pick, dude.
Okay.
Jeez.
Next. This is interesting. Fionn Davies
Uh-huh.
against, they call her Tubby Aliquin.
I have no knowledge of...
You've seen
You've
her?
seen her. She wears the tie-dye
Yeah.
rash guard or like shorts.
I'm actually, I feel like she's undersized a little bit, no?
I don't
Aliquin?
know. She...
It's hard to go against Fionn.
Yeah.
Dude.
Right now,
Dude.
she's so hot right now. She is just murdering everybody, right? Like she's just
Hansel.
finishing people. And what did we just see her in? And she just dominated. Was that Nogi Worlds or?
Yeah, we watched that match. didn't
yeah.
we? Carrie and I
Yeah.
watched that one.
Yeah, she's just on another level right now.
Yeah.
So
I think Aliquin will give her a really good
right.
matchup. Like,
Plus she has-
I don't think it's going to be like this. Like, I don't know if she'll win by submission. I think it'll probably go to the judges.
Yeah, I mean Aliquin's known as being just really hard to finish.
Yeah.
Very
But
tough.
Fionn has a new instructional on BJJ Fanatics too, though. So
What's that called?
I forgot.
Is that the basic
It's her
bitch
guard.
knee cut?
It's her guard passing. It's a guard
Yeah,
passing.
didn't
one.
she call it basic bitch knee cut?
I don't know.
Because Roka's Wagner's daughter said,
Yeah.
"What's she gonna do? Do a basic knee cut on me?"
That's funny.
And Fionn was like, "Bitch," and then did it to her.
That's hilarious.
Respect.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, we're all taking Fionn on that
Okay,
one.
yeah.
Here we go. Tynan Dalpra. Oliver Taza.
Oh,
I think. Okay, just go ahead.
I've got level Tynan.
Okay, for the win is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But how do you think it goes? I mean,
I don't know.
this is literally his, what is it, like his second black belt match in no-gi? Mm-hmm. I think. I could be.
I know, but
Against a leg lock wizard.
yeah. I don't know, man.
I love the matchup because it's a good test against what you would perceive to be probably Tynan's weakest point, which is leg locks, you would imagine. But I have a feeling that man's going to be good at leg locks, especially defense.
That's what I'm saying. So you don't have to, completely up your own leg lock game, just your defense.
Right. And
To negate that a bit.
just knowing that team.
Yeah.
And he's got Pato in his freaking team now. That he's going to be prepared, and his counters.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because if you're rolling with Pato like routinely, he's going after your freaking legs, man.
And I have a feeling that like they're going to be working okay, you entered into some sort of ashigarami or something like that. His counters into attacks, not necessarily leg attacks, but back attacks and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Probably going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. I still am going with Tynan, though.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I think Tynan probably looks fairly impressive. And I would imagine off of this win, if it is like one of those kind of mollywoppins, that maybe he gets an ADC invite straight from that. Kind of like Marigali did.
Probably should.
Yeah. Because everyone gave ADCC a bunch of crap because Marigali, with zero no-gi experience, got an ADC invite. But obviously Mo Jassim's like, well, he double medaled.
And by the way, proved right.
Right. He got a silver and a bronze, I think.
So there you go.
Yeah. So it shows that if someone's at the top of the food chain in the game,
totally, dude.
Especially if it's a style thing, and I think everyone can agree Tynan has a style that can fit really well. And he just comes from a team that has ADCC champions and.
Absolutely.
But I like the matchup.
Oh, it's going to be great. This is a great card.
Yeah, this is really good. February 9th.
For 9th. Gotcha.
Then we have Hillbilly Hammer, Jacob Couch.
He's really turned a corner lately too, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
Against Sebastian Rodriguez. Rodriguez is kind of like a nonstop highlight guy from Unity. Really good. Really fun to watch. Hasn't quite broke into that very top of the food chain, which I think Jacob is kind of doing right now.
I do think so.
Especially with Jacob's ADCC trials run of subbing J-Rod.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, he's really, from where he was.
Yeah.
I think he's really.
Is he going to be in ADCC this year?
He won trials.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So he is officially in there.
Yep.
I got to take Couch.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that biscuits and gravy is coming to eat. Probably by sub. I'm going to go
I
with
would
sub.
too. Yep.
Rodriguez is tough as nails, but I think that's going to be I just think we're at two different points in their careers, maybe.
You know what I've noticed, dude? You know what I feel like when I'm doing these?
What's up?
I feel like you ever seen the retired football players commentating on NFL?
Yeah.
That's kind of, these guys are phenomenal. I'm like,
right.
Yeah, I think you take this guy, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Is that why you don't have too heavy of an opinion?
Yes.
You're just like, they're both really nice.
No, they're all phenomenal.
Right.
And I'm a freaking.
You're afraid to criticize?
But I'm not afraid to. It's just.
You're scared.
No, not at all. I just feel like it's a little disingenuous, man, because it's just like it'd be different if I'm over here like one of the folks that is kind of in the mix now making calls. Like if Mika was making predictions.
Oh, but that's like saying that someone has to be a world champion.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying it still is a little. Every time I see those guys, I have that same reaction when I see other people doing it that are very critical of. But no, we can have opinions, of course.
Like the armchair kind of quarterbacking type stuff.
I've hated that my whole life.
I'm happy you have a jiu-jitsu podcast where we talk about topical stuff.
Thank God.
That's why we're going to get.
We could talk about it. We're like, we're fine with it. I hear other people like, well, he just hasn't been looking as good lately, and blah, blah,
that's
blah.
what I was going to bring up about Couch, is that he just hasn't been.
Dude,
joking.
I just think it's funny.
That's why we're going to get Mishka Nikita on here. We're going to allow him in the building, and then we'll get Boots in here.
Oh my
we'll
God,
get some
dude.
trash talk. Kieran won't do it. He's afraid.
I know that you want some trash talk.
I want some spiciness.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
And you're just giving me Wonder Bread.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that. Like freaking Wonder Bread, like nothing.
But that's,
Yeah.
you have your wife to even you out. Because she's like a jalapeno popper.
Uh-huh.
And you're like a soggy piece of white Wonder Bread.
I'm looking at her. She's like, yeah.
She's like, yeah, it makes
I can
sense.
see that. Anyway.
That's the card. They might add maybe
That's a good card.
Some prelim stuff, and maybe we'll go over that more. But I think top-notch card. I was a little, at first, I was like, I'm not really sure, but I think it rounded out. If it remains like this and people don't get hurt.
That's going to be super entertaining.
Yeah. We'll see how the broadcast goes and if Flo can keep up some quality here, because it's been a little bit to be desired lately.
Well, Carrie and I usually curse during a couple times.
Yeah.
The audio and visual feed gets unsynced.
Commercial
Hey, Flo, you want us to fix it? I'm right here.
Then we got someone talking about some kind of crazy supplements and
Oh, yeah. That's your favorite.
yeah. So anyway,
Makes me feel like a sexual tyrannosaurus.
that's from Predator, dude.
I know, but I was thinking BioPro.
Yeah, I know.
Good.
It's from Predator.
Our friend.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's who's number one on FloGrappling, February 9th.
Cool.
Let's jump into something that you have for us.
Oh wow, this is very pedestrian.
Yes.
And it's actually that's a pun based on what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the feet.
Not even funny.
Dude, for an old dude, that's an old man fucking, excuse me. From the Navy.
Chris!
The Navy almost came out. It's old dad.
Olivia,
dad
you
joke.
can't yell at me. You got to yell at
So, yeah, I know. So, I think for myself and for many other people, I think this is not just jiu-jitsu. In general, for athletic performance, we neglect our feet completely. I think they're a weak link, and they shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. You could argue in jiu-jitsu, especially if you're a guard player, how much time I don't know how much time you spend on it, but you'd be surprised if you watch your average roll, how many people are planting, pushing off, balancing, right?
I mean, I guess I consider myself a guard player. Mm-hmm. Something I teach, especially, we literally just kind of did this in our class, was always maintaining connection with your feet to either the person or the ground.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's a dead grip or it's a dead limb.
I mean, that's a great point. What I'm going for is, especially from standing position, things like that for jiu-jitsu, but in general, for general daily life athleticism, you think about what we do to our feet with shoes. And so if we just kind of diving into it a little bit, if you look at your average shoe, they have these narrow toe boxes. And if you have people take off their shoes, you look at these toes all jammed together. Their big toe is usually curved towards the other toes. There's no space in between them. And that's not how they're supposed to be. And they're very weak.
We're supposed to have like wide feet.
Very wide.
Our toes are like actually, like they're not scrunched, right? There's actually maybe even a little space in there.
Yeah, and it goes further than that. I mean, it'd be like, putting a cast on a limb, because my arm hurts, right? Yeah, we need to protect the bottoms of our feet for modern society, right? Glass and stuff like that. But the footwear we use, not only does it not allow toe spread, but it also, most of it has a heel to it of some degree, okay? And
that's a selling point, like the air, Nikes with the air bubble thing.
Yeah, and so what people don't realize, what that's doing, if we go back to the anatomical terms of dorsiflexion of the ankle and plantar flexion, where dorsiflexion is bringing your toes towards your face, bending the ankle that way.
Like a little hook.
Like our hooks in jiu-jitsu, and plantar flexion is what we call, making ballerina toes, right? If you think about what a heel does, where you have an elevation in the front and then there's a drop towards the toe, it puts you in plantar flexion most of the day. And then that results in an adaptive shortening of your calf muscles behind you, because that's what happens when you plantar flex, is your calf muscles contract, right? So if you're constantly in that, And I see it in the gym all the time when I have people do deep squats. Most of the people that have been in jiu-jitsu a while have finally adapted, but especially new people, you'll see them deep squat and they'll come up on their toes because they don't have the dorsiflexion anymore. And that's really important to be able to just your activities of daily living and all that. Not to mention these big supportive shoes are basically, you're putting a lot of artificial support and you're not letting the intrinsic muscles of the feet work. And people talk about fallen arches and stuff like that. Well, the muscles have atrophied, right? How many people get foot cramps all the time? And it's not always due to hydration status, right? And I'm putting myself in this, even though I do try to, I'll show you guys some things that I've done. But one of the most important things we can do is to have proper footwear. And I'd like to do, just like we're going to do with the shoulder videos, which we haven't posted yet. Right? I looked at the producers here.
No comment.
Yeah. But I'd like to do a couple things, showing some things to do to help not only strengthen the feet, but let's talk about the foot anatomy. That piece from the ankle down to the toes has 26 bones in it. It's crazy. And it has 33 joints. Joints are meant to move. Maybe not some of them a lot, but they're there in the foot to allow the foot to adapt to uneven ground. And it also has over 200,000 sensory little nerve endings in it. That's a lot of nerve endings.
That's why stepping on a Lego hurts so much.
Well, it can, but it shouldn't.
What?
Yeah. A Lego should, obviously you have something that like a knife or something or a nail, of course that's going to hurt. But what's interesting is when the fascia and all the muscles are weak, and there's not a lot of movement in the joints anymore, anything that is unyielding you step on is going to cause a lot of pain, and it really shouldn't. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. That pressure sensation is just because the foot is, the brain is feeling that area is threatening because it's weak. It's another, we've talked about this. When the nervous system feels something is weak, it tries to protect it. So all those joints and stuff are supposed to move a little bit to adapt, and all the muscles are supposed to, and all those sensory receptors, every time you put your foot on the ground, it sends a signal up to the brain to help it coordinate movement to the rest of the body. So if you're not getting that input, it'd be like if I'm wearing gloves all the time and I'm trying to, I can't feel that, all that little tactile sensation we feel with our hands, their feet are the same way. Every time I take a step, those sensations and those receptors tell the brain where the foot is, what pressure is where, and it helps turn on the muscles all the way up the chain. And a lot of knee problems start with the feet. A lot of hip problems start with the feet, and it goes right up the body. So every time you step, the inside of your foot kind of collapses to the ground. I mean, it does a little bit. It's called pronation. We all pronate a little bit, but you've seen extreme examples when someone takes a step and that inside of the foot just collapses down when they're barefoot. That puts the knee in an awkward angle. And you can see how that affects the entire body. And so when we put our feet into these cramped, restrictive shoes, we're not getting any of that movement of the joint. We're not getting any ground feel.
Yeah, because like every shoe has these super soft pillow
That's
soles.
right. But then it feeds on itself because the weaker and more fragile your foot gets, the more you like to wear those cushy, comfortable shoes.
That's why people got to wear some good shoes like these. Old Crocs.
Well, the Crocs
have a toe box on that bitch.
Exactly. So that's good. And it also, there's not much of a heel too.
Yeah.
Compared to the foot. I will argue, hold on one second.
Uh-oh. About to take his butt out.
No. Yeah, I know. That'd take a lot of time. Can't do that. So can you see, where should I put this shoe?
Probably Yep.
Okay. If you look at, this happens to be from a company called Vivo Barefoot. If you look at the toe box, that sucker's wide.
Yeah.
I can also take this sucker and crumple it. Okay. There's still ground feel when I touch it, and there's not a lot of stability, and it's not rigid, so my foot is still having to work. Okay. Now, that's the first thing people should start doing, and there's no drop, there's no heel on it, so the heel is at the same level as the toe, so you're not getting that excessive plantar flexion the entire time.
So like switching to a shoe like this,
Yeah.
It could help people with some sort of knee or hip issue too?
Absolutely it can. And people notice that all the time. Matter of fact, if you notice most of the weight training I do, if you ever trained with me, I'm barefoot. Almost exclusively.
You know, there was a huge movement, I want to say years ago, of like people that are really, I'm not saying professional, but they treat their weightlifting and stuff like that seriously. Maybe it's CrossFit competitors or something like that. It was like became very popular to train in what are those?
The Vibrams.
The Converse.
Oh, yeah, the Chuck Taylors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're like notoriously very thin on the bottom.
Well, and there's no heel in them. They're completely
that became
flat.
like a thing.
They're still a bit rigid, though. I mean,
You can't fold them like that.
Yeah, completely. So,
but that was, I think, before like Vibrams came out and were real popular.
For sure. But with these, and there's so many companies now that will you can look under minimalist footwear.
Have you tried more than just that brand?
Yeah. I have another pair, Zero, spelled with an X, Xero. Yep. There's a ton of them around now because the Vivo Barefoot does a really good job with theirs. They're a little pricey.
That's right. Vibram is like the toe
shoe,
right?
Yeah.
Vivo is the
Vivo Barefoot. Yeah. So, but the point is though, if when you transition into that, all of a sudden it's almost like starting a workout program. Like, well, I've never bench pressed before. You don't want to go in there and all of a sudden do 10 sets
PRs
of
and like all that stuff. Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they start doing this, they should probably transition and use this almost like weight training for their
I've heard
feet.
it's very common for people because I've been looking at those for a while.
Yeah,
and just never pulled the trigger. That people will like use those, but they'll go right into maybe they run up 3 miles a day or something, or every couple of days they run 3 or 4 miles, and they'll switch to those shoes and then run in them, and they feel destroyed.
That is the dumbest thing you can possibly do.
Okay,
because you're going from having no adaptation of all your ligaments, bones, and everything, where you've been running in these cushiony shoes with whatever technique you're using, and then all of a sudden you have an untrained area of your body and you're doing the same thing. That's a disaster.
it's like
You're going to lead to stress fractures. You're going to lead to all kinds of problems. So
that makes sense.
Never would I say to start running in those things. The people that do barefoot run, guess what? They've probably grown up doing it, or they've transitioned over years to develop the soft tissue.
Similar to like someone using like Smith machines and stuff like that, and then they're like, well, I'm going to do some free weight stuff
and think you can use the same weight.
And it's just noticeably different.
Yeah,
like
very
stabilizers.
Yeah, you should. Matter of fact, you should never. You should be wearing barefoot shoes for years before you start to try to run, and then slowly. You'd have to really slowly get into it. You have to have all that soft tissue adaptation. Otherwise, it's a disaster. My point is, though, for walking and just daily living, if you can start transitioning into shoes like that, and they actually make them for work too. I have a couple pairs.
As I've been looking, like especially that
they have
Zero
boots.
company.
Yeah, Zero makes a lot of good ones.
They have like cool looking boots. They have like wool in the
Totally,
because
man.
they are thinner, but warm.
And
dressy.
it allows your toes to spread.
Yeah.
It allows your feet to actually work. You'd be amazed at how many people have started using those, and all of a sudden they're like, their back pain is better, and so many things, because they're now getting feedback into the feet to help coordinate muscle activation for all their activities and stuff. Plus, then they start developing that dorsiflexion again. Look around. You drop into gyms a lot. If you watch any warm-ups, anybody doing squats, look how many people are coming up on their toes at the bottom.
Something
of the
I
squat.
notice is often that doesn't even get corrected by the person running
But they don't know.
the class or the
I know.
squats or Cossack squats.
Yeah.
Like now, sometimes I will do a Cossack squat and intentionally lift the heel and like dip the knee forward.
Sure, that's different, though.
Completely different.
Yeah. Well,
but
we're
then
just talking about being able to get into that motor pattern and that dorsiflexion. Combat base, I've done some things before where we talk about trying to get more dorsiflexion. And there's a little exercise from combat base that you can do with the up foot. But anyway, we'll do some more of that stuff down the line. I just want you guys to be thinking about this. There's a really good site that I've started using. It's called the Foot Collective. Sounds like a cult. But they're a group of physical therapists and stuff. They're really big
Or it
on
sounds like a street gang.
the Foot Collective. Yeah, it could be. Or a mafia or something like that. But they have a lot of free educational stuff there. They do sell some products for foot strengthening, but they'll even tell you that that is kind of like the icing on the cake is the foot strengthening exercises. It's being in that footwear
Interesting.
daily is where to get your foot to start activating again. You guys would be surprised of how your balance will increase, because what is balance anyway? It's proprioception. And proprioception starts in joints. And if you have 33 joints in the foot and your foot hasn't really gotten a lot of movement in there, you're not getting good quality information to the brain as far as balance, muscle activation and all that. The more contact and feedback you can get to those feet, the more you're able to then coordinate with the brain.
So I'll be like a cat if I wear those things.
Yes. I've called you a pussy before.
Easy,
That's
buddy.
probably true.
There's ladies in the room.
Yeah, but yeah, my wife fully endorses that statement.
You can say the C word, so we're good.
No C words. Jeez.
I got a question.
Liv, you got to buy
Yeah.
me some of these shoes.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Chris.
Yes.
What if genetically you have a flexible flat foot, like the arch collapses? Will
In
these
other words,
things-
there are some genetics due to the foot structure of the bone structure,
Yeah.
but you still have the same muscles.
Can you
that-
strengthen the arch? So that it
Absolutely,
won't
because
collapse?
especially flexor hallucis longus, which is that big toe flexor, that travels right up into the medial arch, and most people have completely atrophied muscles there. And then you go to a podiatrist, and but the conventional podiatry training is to give everyone orthotics.
Which is what happened to me as a child.
Of course. Then what you're doing is, of course, that now orthotics have their uses. If you have a foot injury or you're trying to offload and let some tissue heal temporarily, think of it like a crutch.
Like a plantar fasciitis.
Yeah,
Or something.
let's say you broke a leg for a minute and you had to use a crutch. That doesn't mean you should be using that crutch every single day of your life after that, right? These things can make the matter worse long term. They promote even more weakness.
It's just making a crutch that you use daily.
Yeah, and you have this stiff thing supporting there, and you're not even using your own musculature anymore. So long-term use of orthotics, and you can say, well, I have flat feet. It's like, well, yeah, you have zero musculature there. Like I said, everyone has a little different arch as far as their bone structure.
Yeah.
But you can absolutely still train all the musculature there.
That reminds me. You hear about that gal that just got out of jail that she was going to kill her mom because they did like a documentary on her. Her mom kept her told her she has scoliosis or something like.
Oh no, she did. Her boyfriend killed.
Oh, they did kill her.
Yeah.
What she like her mom?
She has.
That sounds like Munchausen's.
by
Yeah,
proxy.
Munchausen's by proxy.
Yeah. So she
Yeah.
and the gal was normal. She was in a wheelchair,
Of course.
until she was like
The mom
late
was
teens.
the mom was getting attention based on
Yeah.
a fictitious.
You know what I'm talking about?
Well, no, but I know that it's in the medical literature.
Oh, okay, yeah,
It's a condition. It's a psychiatric condition.
So this gal, they did a documentary on Netflix,
Yeah.
and she just got out of jail because her boyfriend killed the mom.
The mom, yeah.
because they found out that the mom's been lying this whole time, and the girl was talking like a little child, basically, as being 20-something years old.
Well, these parents basically want this dependent child, and they're using these fictitious maladies. They'll even poison their children.
Yeah.
They'll do a lot of horrible things to them just to they're getting attention to
And she
them
was
through
saying
their
she
children.
can't eat certain stuff. All that to say, that's what that reminds me of. It's
Yeah.
like you're basically
Yeah.
Munchausen your own feet.
I love that. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it.
Brought it back. You guys thought I was lost.
I was very confused.
I was like, where is he going with it? No, I'll give it to you.
I brought it back.
I'll give that one to you.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Can you address the actual cause of plantar fasciitis?
Yeah, so Carrie wants me to address the cause of plantar fasciitis.
I had that, and that
It's
hurts.
horrific. Usually,
sucks.
it's on basically the medial part of your
the
heel.
medial- what is that?
The inside. So there's when you put your foot down, let's say your right foot, the part of the heel that's more on the left.
Okay.
That's
The inner
in line
side.
at the inner side. It's the medial part of the heel. Typically, the plantar fascia has an attachment there. it helps support the arch. But what a lot of people forget is that, or don't know, is that fascial continuity wraps around the heel and is continuous with the Achilles tendon and the calf muscles, the gastrocnemius and soleus.
Oh yeah.
So when you're already adaptively shortened with a heel, and you're put into plantar flexion, and you don't have as much dorsiflexion, then when you do go barefoot, you don't have that heel anymore, and all of a sudden now you're into a dorsiflexion that you're not used to having. That all that tension, because the soft tissue is already shortened from all the heel wearing, that it's now putting intense pressure across the plantar fascia, because then the calf muscle is not stretching like it should during ambulation, during walking. And then you're developing plantar fascia, the plantar fasciitis. And the fascia, people's like, oh, well, it's because of bone spurs. No, bone spurs, it's not causative. Bone spurs are a result of plantar fasciitis. The periosteum, which is the covering of bones, think about saran wrap wrapping a bone. Okay. When the fascia inserts into the bone, it also inserts into that periosteum. When there's all that pressure, because there's shortening of the calf muscle and you're already in this shortened state and you can't dorsiflex, and when you go barefoot, that repetitive pressure then will start to pull the periosteum away from the bone. And what the body does is it fills in that little gap. And then you look at them like, oh, you got a bone spur. Yeah.
I see.
So
That was a good streak of like big words.
no, I'm just trying to be anatomically correct.
I'm just saying the last 3 minutes was some solid wordage.
The fix for it long term is, of course, when it's really flared up, you can use some type of orthotic or something to help it heal, to offload it a little bit. But really the long-term fix is to stop wearing shoes with heels, really work on doing some self-treatment to release some of the gastroc and soleus, which is your calf muscles, and then work on your dorsiflexion stretching. Because really one of the common symptoms of plantar fasciitis is first step out of bed in the morning is like excruciating.
Right.
Because typically people are plantar flexed in bed. They get up and they dorsiflex for the first time out with an active plantar fasciitis, and it lights them up immediately. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It can be
It's
debilitating.
interesting how painful it is.
It's crazy painful.
Yeah.
Because it's periosteum. There's a lot of nerve endings in that periosteum. Yeah.
That was wild.
Yep.
Well, it's I think a good lesson on the foot health, and we're going to do some videos.
We'll do some videos on some of the strengthening things you can do, and some of the kind of goofy looking stuff to get your toes spaced. But the best thing you guys can do is look for some wide toe box stuff that are minimalist shoes that make your foot work.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like we were saying, like even for work, like I know for a fact Zero has some good looking work shoes.
They do.
They look like something you could wear to the office.
And you'll notice, you walk, all of a sudden you get ground feel, and you're like, oh gosh, I can feel the ground, and my toes are spreading out. And guess what? You'll be sore when you first start wearing those.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll come back to that later, assuming that we get our shoulder videos posted.
I deleted them.
I was just gonna comment and say, I remember when I first started jujitsu, how my feet were so sore.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't used to it. And even like doing certain positions, like doing combat or where you have to be in closed guard, but you're the person that's in the guard and you're up on your
and you have active toes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
because you're trying to dorsiflex.
yeah, which now my feet don't hurt anymore.
That's right.
I remember they would be so sore.
Well, that's why, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of all I got on that one right now.
I love it. So we had an email come in.
Okay.
Common issue. It's titled Ulnar Nerve Entrapment. Okay. So this fella, I'm just going to read the email. You haven't heard what he says yet, so we're going to it cold. He says, I have been kept off the mats for about a month now due to back and arm pain. It started about a week before Christmas with a sharp pain near my right shoulder blade and has been accompanied by pain in my right elbow and numbness / tingling. in my numbness and tingling in my right pinky and ring finger. Additionally, I have experienced a loss of strength in my right arm. I was told that this is likely an ulnar nerve entrapment. Although the symptoms have improved a bit, I am still going on nearly a month now with this and would like to get back on the mats. So I was wondering if Dr. Hardy agrees with the diagnosis and has any rehab recommendations.
Okay. Wow. So the shoulder stuff complicates it a little bit. Okay. But let's think of the ulnar nerve is part of, so all the nerves, let's just back up a little bit, just so it will help people out. All the nerves that do stuff to the arm, in other words, make your muscles move, and then conversely, all sensation coming back the other way, come out of the levels C5 through T1, the levels of the spine in the neck, and they form something. You can think of it like a bundle of electrical wires coming together in conduit. It's called the brachial plexus. That sucker passes underneath the collarbone and deep into what you consider the armpit, the axilla. And it also passes under this muscle, this deep pectoral muscle called the pectoralis minor. When it passes into the arm itself, it starts dividing up into single nerves because typically they start out as...
So that bundle of wire you talked about.
Because what happens is they start out as a bunch of... So there's a nerve root from C5, with nerve roots from C6, C7, right? And there's actually a C8 nerve root, even though there's not a C8 vertebrae. But anyway, those come together, and then they split off again separately at a certain point to those individual nerves like the radial nerve, the axillary nerve, the ulnar nerve, the median nerve, things like that. The ulnar nerve course goes through the medial elbow, which is that inside part. In other words, if you put your hand on the table, palm up, and you're looking at your little finger, trace your little finger along your forearm to your elbow. That's the medial elbow.
That basically
the funny bone, people call it.
Yeah, that little nub.
Yeah, that's the cubital tunnel. And so what that is a place in the bone where it is a tunnel where the ulnar nerve passes through. Ulnar neuropathy or ulnar nerve entrapment most commonly takes place at the cubital tunnel at the elbow. And it does have symptoms like pain and numbness and tingling, typically in that little finger and that ring finger. You can also start getting some hand weakness, some severe stuff.
When you guys had worked with me on mine, I was having armpit and inner bicep kind of.
Right, and that is a long, but they were talking about scapula pain. Isn't that what they were saying? Like posterior shoulder pain too?
Now due to back/arm pain. It started about a week ago at Christmas, and you're right.
See, I don't know what back. I mean, what do they mean?
No, you're right. Yeah, sharp pain near my right shoulder blade.
So
has been accompanied by right elbow numbness.
Okay. But so when they talk about shoulder, this would be great if I could examine someone.
So he is in our gym.
Tell him to come see me. So on the inside of the shoulder blade, anyway, the place towards the spine, where the rhomboid muscles are different than the outside of the shoulder blade towards the actual shoulder itself.
So it could really go two different directions.
Yeah. So they probably are two different things. Okay.
Oh, like it could be this ulnar issue.
No. I mean, it sounds like the numbness and tingling in the fingers and in the medial elbow.
Which I had severe.
Absolutely. So
tingling.
Now, when you say entrapment, so sometimes the ulnar nerve can be, because it's passing through this tunnel, it can get irritated, usually due to an overuse mechanism. But there's also a muscle that attaches from the medial elbow that wraps across. It's called the pronator teres. It makes the basically the hand turn over, palm down, forcefully. So if I had my palm up, and then you try to resist, and I'm trying to turn my palm down, that's a pronator teres. And it attaches right next to that quote-unquote funny bone near the cubital tunnel. Sometimes even that inflammation at that insertion, called medial epicondylitis, can also irritate the ulnar nerve as well, too. as the definitive diagnosis to see if there's actually nerve slowing or entrapment is a nerve conduction study or electromyography, where you basically have some electrodes hooked up and they actually do a measurement on how fast the nerve is conducting. You can also get the ulnar nerve entrapped at the wrist itself, at the medial wrist. It's not as common as it is in the elbow. Sounds like you may have some trigger point stuff going on into that shoulder blade, but I'd have to know what he means by that, right? So it's certainly could be. And let me tell you,
but that back shoulder blade pain is typically not associated with ulnar stuff.
Correct, because that goes up to the brachial plexus here.
Right. It's here and then down.
Right. If you're having like armpit pain and stuff like that into the front, then I could say, hey, maybe you have a brachial plexus kind of entrapment by pec minor, which is hitting the nerve root that eventually becomes the ulnar nerve. But this is pretty specific when you start having those numbness and tingling in those two little fingers. So now here's the point, though, is once that nerve is irritated, nerves are the first thing to become irritated and the last things to calm down. It's like an old dude in traffic.
It is like you.
I know. So, but that's how nerves are.
Or class,
just
or
in
podcasts,
whatever it is, just
mowing the lawn.
Yeah. Yelling at people, get off my lawn. Yeah, yeah. So nerves are like that old dude. Okay. They get irritated quickly and it takes them a long time to get calmed down. As opposed to muscle. And so you could have no longer have an entrapment and the nerve would still be irritated for a while. So the question is, do you have a true anatomical entrapment through that bony tunnel?
Is that the only place the entrapment would happen?
No, it can happen at the wrist too, at what's called Guyan's canal at the wrist.
Those two spots?
Typically, for ulnar nerve. Yeah.
There's nothing up in the column.
Well, no, but you could, but that would be higher up into where the root that actually supplies the ulnar nerve, you could have some compression. But typically at that level, like at pec minor, you would have some other symptoms that weren't specific to the ulnar nerve because that branch does more things than just the ulnar nerve.
So when I was having my issues with that, I had a pretty deep armpit pain.
Yep.
And then like right below, like where the actual like bicep muscle is.
Correct.
And then typically when I would lay in bed and I would lay on my side.
Yep.
And this kind of like how it sits there, that's when my fingers and hand essentially would start to go numb.
That's right.
And like the arm.
Yours was more pec minor entrapment of the brachial plexus.
Okay. Interesting.
Which still having those symptoms here too, but you had other symptoms as well too. You had this a lot, and you can have what's called retrograde symptoms. So that you could have an entrapment at the elbow instead of just going down to the fingers. You could start when it gets bad enough, it start creeping up to the inside of the arm. But having this kind of posterior shoulder is atypical. Is my point.
Interesting. So that's the trigger point.
Potentially, maybe. I would have to actually examine and say, hey, what does that do? Because some trigger points, like infraspinatus, the infraspinatus trigger point can actually do a referral pattern that kind of mimics that. So it's a big mimicry.
You got to put your hands on them and knead them like a pizza.
Or some kind of dough.
That's what pizza is.
Yeah, I know. Or it didn't have to be pizza, is all I'm saying.
He just got to take his top down.
Yeah. Yeah, and I could
get up in there.
Yeah, and there's some other provocative testing things where we can put a stretch on the ulnar nerve at the elbow, see if that pisses it off.
Is it provocative?
It's provocative, yeah. A provocative test. It provokes something.
I like it.
I bet. It doesn't have to be that kind of provocative. That's provoking something else.
Yeah.
That's what we call it. We call it provocative.
I want to say words to you that would get us kicked off YouTube.
Okay, sweet.
Rectal exams are provocative.
Depends on what you're testing for.
What would you test for in a rectal exam?
Usually, it depends on who I'm talking about.
Me.
Oh my God. Probably a brain exam at that point.
Lost an anal bead.
Or, you have a little brain malfunction. Usually I can hit your prefrontal cortex through your butt.
That's impressive.
That's where your brain is, so.
Really?
Just from,
Oh,
yours specifically.
Oh, that's a long brainstem.
No, you just have a butt brain.
Thank you, Mom. Blessing me with a butt brain. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So for people that
to give him exercises, no, I'm not going to do that because I could say something based on symptoms and it could be completely the wrong thing to give him.
Interesting.
Right. And it depends on, so that's where, the symptoms are suggestive of some things, but that's where I know all the doctors, there's probably no doctors listening, but that don't touch their patients anymore.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
Yeah.
How many times you've been to a doctor's office and haven't touched you?
I go all the time and no one ever touches me.
Well, I know if you have that lady as a doctor, I guarantee you're getting touched.
I'm saying I cheat on her a little bit, and I go to UW medicine.
Well, you know what happens. Of course they don't. Yeah. So, but anyway,
I would never cheat on you.
If you have the opportunity to come up and talk to me, assuming you're at our academy.
Yeah, he is.
I'll take a look.
Your photo's very small, so, but I think you go to our gym.
You just come out and out yourself like it was me.
It was me. My butt hurts. So, what about just for to close on that subject for people that were maybe, because I've heard of other people having the kind of symptoms I had that were pretty specific, right? What is some stuff that, now obviously they need to get checked out. You got to make sure that's what it is. But what's some stuff to look out for that can kind of narrow it down so they know, okay, I'm not going to just fix this by rest. I have to be proactive about fixing, because that was my thing. I was just letting it ride for 2 months, and then I finally told you guys.
Yeah.
You guys are like, well, you're retarded.
Yeah.
Because that could have turned into a...
long-term neuropathy.
Yes.
Right. So that's what happens if a nerve is impinged long enough, and it can start to be damaged, and it can start to slow. Like carpal tunnel syndrome, if you let that go for too long in the median nerve, you can start having wasting of your thumb muscle that sometimes you'll never regain.
Right.
Because the full function won't come back. Now, you won't just have a little bit of numbness and tingling. You'll have severe pain with that, and it will be localized at the elbow pretty much. Yeah.
Is there anything you can say for people to whether it's timeline or how, if someone's having symptoms, let's say I had, or how he had, but without the shoulder, is there something you would say that someone should do? What should someone do?
They should get, so you need to make sure there's not, have someone that's good with musculoskeletal medicine examine you. You got to, because if it is a true entrapment at the cubital tunnel and you get a nerve conduction showing significant slowing, they do cubital tunnel releases. They kind of clear that space up to allow the nerve to go through. It's real, but it could be a pronator teres dysfunction that's irritating the ulnar nerve. It could be so many things, and to give you a certain, I can't really give you a good crystal ball answer.
You're not a real doctor.
I'm playing one here.
Liv, did you have something? Because I don't know if you were flashing me for...
No, I was just moving.
She's flashing you.
Oh.
I
saw her phone kind of wave at me.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes that's our signal to
us old people, flashing means something else.
We know.
Okay. You know what streaking is?
Freaking nudist.
That's what I'm just saying. That's what it means to me.
So everyone knows, we've seen a lot of the YouTube comments. There's quite a few. We're going to talk about some of those. Just got to be able to read through them, because some of them are kind of long responses. So we're going to get to those. I promise. Other than that, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Send a question.
Yeah. And we can use more big words.
Big words. Big brain on Bill. See y'all
Later.